Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Infinitive English channel. I'd like to welcome you back to our lessons dedicated to American Lazy English phonetics. Today, we're talking contractions in the American Lazy English phonetics. Questions, contractions with questions, part 6. Well, it's a part 6 video on contractions and second part on the questions, the contractions with questions and how they sound with the American accent. Let's get it. So, as you may remember, I hope you watched the previous video, the part 5. It's not what, as in British. It's nothing wrong with British English. It's the main English of them all. But if you're here, you're aiming the American accent, American pronunciation, okay? So stay tuned. So it's what? And today we're talking about, like I took a couple of most common and, well, not quite that common, but we're going to get there in a minute, all right? So what are water? Water sounds almost if it's water, like the substance that you drink that gives life to everything on this planet. It's like Mortal Kombat first part from the 90s, right? Use the element that gives life when Katana helped Kung Lao to defeat Sub-Zero, which, by the way, was one of my favorite characters, if not the most favorite character in all the universe of Mortal Kombat. Duh! Use the element that gives life. Water. So it sounds identical, absolutely identical to the contraction what are, right? So water. What are you doing? What are you doing? So this what are you has I've already done a video about this because it has plenty of options how you can go about this certain chunk. What are you, right? So, but today we're talking about the contraction. So the contraction sounds water. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, let's move on. So then I took some more examples because this one is quite, common. If not the most common, right? So what are they up to? What are they up to? What are they up to? Meaning like what are they planning? You know what I'm saying? So what are they up to? What are they up to? What are those? Say some of your friends bought some brand new Jordan kicks, say Russell Westbrooks, and you see him for the first time wearing those, and you be like, what are those? But at the same time, you may use this phrase when some of your friends is wearing some whack-ass shoes and you seeing him like in some flip-floppers wearing socks and shit. I'm sorry. So you see some of your friends wearing some gross shoes on them, not because they cannot afford, but because they got lack of taste per se, right? And you be like, what are those? What are those? What are those? Right? So the same go both ways, right? So what are those? What are those? Okay, what are those? Okay, so what are we gonna do? Gonna, you remember this one, right? Don't you? Gonna. What are we gonna do? So here we have a contraction and a reduction. So what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Okay, what are we gonna do? What are they looking at? What are they looking at? What are they looking at? They trying to understand what are those? That's why they're looking at. So what are they looking at? Okay. Now let's move on. How are okay? How are you today? As an example, how are you today? But you may say, how are you today? How are you today? But it won't sound American. But in the American pronunciation is going to be, how are you today? How are you today? Today, not today, okay? It's again, it's neutral here, right? So how are you today? How are you today? By the way, how are you today? I hope good. And I hope your day or whatever evening is getting better because you're watching this and you're trying to educate yourself. Okay? So then, how are things? It's an amazing way to ask how someone is. So you may say, hey, how are things? For example, if you haven't seen somebody in quite some time, but not that, long period of time, and you be like, how are things? Hey, how are things? Okay, hey, how are things? How are they doing? How are they doing? For example, hey, how are things? Your parents, how are they doing? How are they doing? Okay. How are we gonna know? How are we again gonna? I love gonna. How are we gonna know? How are we gonna know? Okay. So you get this, right? How are. So now I won't call them the least popular, but these two examples of contractions are the top. You know what I mean? But these are still, it's still a thing. They exist, right? So that's why we should cover them. All right, let's get it. So YR, that sounds as a wire, especially for the erotic speakers. Erotic speakers are those kind of speakers of American English where they pronounce those R's. All right. So wire, as in most famous TV show, The Wire. Oh my God, my top 5 TV shows, right? But anyways, wire. Why are you asking? Wire. Why are you asking? Of course, again. You may say, why are you asking? Why are you asking? But why are you asking? So this is because we're talking contractions, right? So why are you asking? Why are you asking? Why are you asking me this? When are, winner, we're almost as a winner. And a winner is, but it's winner, okay? When are you coming back? When are you coming back? When are you coming back? When are you coming back to my channel to drop a like and subscribe? Do it now. Don't postpone that. It only takes 2 seconds of your sweet time. Drop a like, subscribe to a channel. Let's get back to it. Whore, okay? Whore. It's almost as if it's a profanity when you want to offend a sex worker, calling her whore. But it's who, okay? It's who. It's who. No, I mean, no disrespect to no professions. All professions are important, and I support every hard worker, even if it's a sex worker though. But anyways, so who are these guys? Who are these guys? Who are these guys? Okay. And last but not least, in this case, we have where are, right? And this is this is especially if you're aiming for this American with the R's. This here is super. It's like on itself, this contraction is as hard as a tongue twister. Okay, so it's wearer. Oh my goodness, wearer. But non-erotic speakers, they'll probably say wearer. But come on, anyways, where are my keys? Where are my keys? Again, non-erotic speakers, they may drop these apostrophes re thing, and they may say, where are my keys? You hear? Do you hear? Where my keys? Where my keys at? Where my keys? But the erotic speakers, as the majority of population of USA, they are erotic speakers, right? So they will say, where are my keys? Where are my keys? Sounds like a tape from the old tape recorder from the past Soviet Union time is being chewed by the by the stereo system. Where are my keys? No, but it's again, I'm just kidding. Don't get me wrong, no offense, right? So it's where are my keys? But again, you may say, where are my keys? And people will understand, okay? Now, let's recap real quick. What are the most common of them all? Water, as in word, water. What are you doing? What are they up to? What are those? Right? What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? What are they looking at? What are they looking at? All right, so how are you today? How are you? Hi, how are you today? Okay? How are things? How are things? Same thing as how are you today? How are they doing? Again, how are they doing? How are we gonna know? How are we gonna know? Why are you asking? Why are you asking? When are you coming back? When are you coming back? So it's super, again, supernatural as UFOs. It's extremely natural, okay? Don't get me wrong. I'm Russian. Cut me some slack, yo. I'm just kidding. Don't cut me any slack. I'm serious. I'm dead serious when it comes about that, all right? So, where were we? When are you coming back? Who are these guys? Who are these guys? All right. Where Whereer or where. just like that. Where are my keys? Or where are my keys? And that's it for today, guys. I hope you've learned something new. I hope you have enjoyed the video. If so, drop a like, subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell so you won't miss any of this positive content going on forward. Stay safe out there, and remember, together we're gonna make your English better.